Hey there, I want you to imagine you're wearing this backpack. It's a nice light backpack when you're born, but as you get older, this backpack, you seem to fill it up with all this crap like mama was mean to me then, or daddy was mean to me then, or little Tommy made fun of me in the playground, and you keep filling up this backpack. And over time, this backpack, it gets really, really heavy, and I just can't let go of the backpack. You know, this backpack, I don't know how to empty it, and I feel spiritually constipated. That's what we're talking about here. All right.
Welcome to spiritual constipation. We are all spiritually constipated, so... But that's okay. All right, so spiritual constipation.
That's okay.
That's what this video is about, right?
That's why we're here.
We're gonna flush out our systems. No, but seriously, we were listening to this spiritual lady about a week ago.
Yeah.
And she mentioned spiritual constipation. Now, one, the term is hilarious.
Hilarious.
Two, it's even funnier because it's the truth. Three, okay, let me explain it. Yeah. So spiritual constipation is basically holding in and holding on to everything that's hurt you or got you down, everything that's happened to you that's created trauma, that's emotional.
Yeah.
Like Alex's backpack analogy, right? You just hold on to it and put it in the backpack, and the backpack gets heavier, you get heavier, you get worn down.
Yeah.
And she was talking about all of this in terms of spiritual constipation.
So spiritual constipation, yeah, it's all that stuff that's blocking you. To use it in loose terms. But it's all these things that you've held on to for so long that have, justify and given you reasons to react or act in a certain way, right? It's like
it's kind of like a victim bag at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't you know this happened to me? Yeah. Don't you know that I'm hard done by? Like, complete victim mindset.
Yeah, so you're holding on to all of this stuff, and then every so often, you'll whip it out of the backpack, right, to use with something. So in a relationship, for example, you might be like, oh, well, I'm not going to open up to you because I was hurt in my last relationship.
Yeah.
And the whole point is we're holding on to things rather than learning how to let them go.
Exactly. Like, I did this, especially in my past. Like, I grew up without a father, right? So
me too.
Let's just say someone would call me a bastard. I would lash out, or I'd get upset, right? Or, I'd play the victim to that, right? Because of that, I would put that rock in my backpack, right? And it would weigh me down, right?
Yeah.
And I'd constipate myself in the sense that, like, I now am being weighed down by something, right? It's taken away from who I really am.
Yeah, so for that example, you are holding on to the fact that you didn't have your father in your life, rather than letting that go and appreciating everything that your mother was doing for you and giving you.
Exactly.
Right?
Super
and
mom.
That's what a lot of us do. Some of us are really, really good at it, but we do focus on the negative stuff rather than looking at the positive thing, right? And like we've said, we'll find the negative and then we'll hold on to that, and we identify ourselves with that, right? Yeah. So we can both say that we grew up without our dads being around, and we grew up with single mothers, but why does that have to be negative?
Yeah, and that's what we want to talk about, is like, how are you filling up your bag, right? What are these things that you've put in your bag that are not necessarily helping you? They're not helping you at all, right? So I think, like, society, I'm a short man, so I think, I'm supposed to be tall, or like society tell me I'm supposed to be rich, or I'm supposed to have a good job. All these things that I've put in my bag over so long, right? And I hold on to them, right? And they really affect my real character, right?
Yeah.
My true self.
Yeah, and that can come in so many different forms, like you mentioned, right? A lot of people, maybe, you're a single parent household, maybe you don't have that much money growing up, maybe you were bullied at school, maybe your parents expect a lot from you. And then obviously culture and society plays a huge role on every aspect of life.
Absolutely.
Right? So we all have these bags and we all fill it up with things, and a lot of the stuff will be very similar too, right? Because we're all in a very similar environment and culture and society, and you know what I mean. And I was watching what's his name, Adam Doherty, I don't know how to say his name. He's a spiritual YouTuber,
Yeah.
and he talks about this, and he had an actual rock, right, and he was holding this rock on his shoulder,
Yeah.
and he was saying a lot of the time you're holding these things, like we're talking with the backpack analogy, right? You're holding these things and you don't even realize that you're holding them, and you don't even realize that they're not your things.
Yeah.
That someone else, whether that's your parents or someone from school or society, has given you all of these things.
Here's my backpack or my rock.
Yeah, they're giving you. So
Hold on to that.
like society saying you are short, you are a short man if you are under this height. Okay,
Yeah.
that might be like statistically true from the average or whatever. But again, why is that a bad thing? Why
Yeah.
is that, why does that have to be negative? So society is going, hey Alex, you're a short guy, have this
thank you.
and let it
Thank
weigh
you.
you down. Exactly. Nice sound.
So we realize that we need to empty the bag.
You need to empty the bags.
That's what you got to realize
Yeah.
is that in order to lose this weight that you've been burdened by for so long, first we identify how we filled the bag up. What we filled the bag
Yeah,
up
what
with.
open
right?
the bag and
What
look
if
in
we-
it first.
Let's take a look,
Have
right?
a little look.
Now let's realize, okay, this stuff is not serving me. It's no longer useful,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't need this stuff, right? So it's time to
And obviously it's not that easy. It's not an actual bag where you can just take everything out and then it's empty and you feel great.
no.
No, you have to have that. You have to have a level of awareness to even realize you're carrying all of this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And once you've identified it, then you can
Mhm.
actually do something about it.
That's it, right? And we don't want to carry it around because it's the past,
Yeah.
right? And it's already happened. And why do we want to carry that into our present and into our future? You want to always be changing and evolving and growing and letting go. And another thing I think that Adam Doherty said is that a lot of people will try and change. So you'll, for example, adopt new habits,
Yeah.
right? To try and change your mindset on things. So if you are predominantly thinking negative all the time, you'll try and flip to think about the positives in situations,
Yeah.
right? But he says that people don't realize that you have to let things go before you can actually change your mindset and your life. Because if you're still holding on to all of this stuff, you could meditate every single day and try these new habits to help you, but they're not going to help you in the long term because you're still holding on to all of the negativity from the past.
Yeah.
You got to let that go to then adopt these new habits to become a new version of yourself, right?
Yeah, because the past isn't serving you, right? Like if
No.
you're living in the past, right, then you're living in resentment. You're also living in fear.
Yeah.
You're also living in grudge, right? Like you're reliving what isn't your present self, what isn't true, right?
Yeah. Like we said, opening the bag, looking what's in there, and ask yourself where it comes from. So like we already mentioned, a lot of the times the stuff that you're carrying isn't necessarily your truth, and a lot of the times it will come from somebody of influence or authority, so like a parent
Yeah.
or the government,
Yep.
and you have to look at where it's coming from. Do you genuinely trust where it's coming from?
Yeah.
And even if you do, so say it was a parent and you have a great relationship with your parent, but they've still put this stuff on you and in your bag, doesn't mean that it's true and correct. And if it's not serving you, then it isn't, right?
No, exactly. Like an authority figure, right, is someone that you look up to, right? So like if you're younger or a child, right, and you've been told this information, like I had a baseball coach told me I was too short to play a position and stuff like that, right? Like it all affects me, right? And I absorb that because I look up to this person. But now as an adult, I have to be like, okay, is that really my truth, right? Is that where it's coming from, right? Because now we're looking at emptying the bag, right? This spiritual enema, basically, right?
Yes, the spiritual enema,
right? Like I want to get rid of the stuff that's blocking me. It's got to be flushed out, and it's got to happen now because it's stopping me from living my full life.
We want
my
to
full
flow
potential.
efficiently.
We want to have that sense of flow, that sense of ease, that sense of peace, that sense of nothing's gonna bog me down and burden me and block me from being my full self,
We
right?
want to function
Right?
healthily.
So I
and
want to
fully.
empty this bag, right? I want to get rid of all these, people who have made me feel a certain way or made me believe certain things that aren't my truth,
Yeah.
right? What is my truth, right? And why am I carrying it?
Exactly. Yeah. And it all starts with awareness and questioning, where you've got all of this heavy stuff from, and like you've already said, questioning if it is your truth, right? And it helps to take a third person perspective. So try and imagine that it's a friend holding on to all of this stuff, and I think a lot of us are a lot better at looking at other people's lives and how other people are holding on to things or reacting to things or using things in a negative way.
Yeah,
it's a lot
for sure.
easier to see it from the outside.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can put yourself into that third person perspective and think, okay, if this was my friend or my partner, how would I see it then?
And how would I help them, right?
And
how would I
yeah.
help them identify this stuff?
Yeah.
And how would I help them get rid of it, right? And then apply it to yourself, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be big things throughout your life that have hurt you.
Yeah, there's going to be heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff. There's going to be that trauma, that stuff that's really affected your character, your personality, your circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for those, sometimes you may need extra help with that. You may need to go seek a psychiatrist, a doctor, or someone who is a professional in that field. But it's about
try different spiritual practices. There's so many different ways out there to tap into these hidden feelings and these things that you're holding on to, and you have to figure out what's right for you.
Yeah.
Even that, I think that you have to question what society tells you to do. If you do find a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, and that's not working for you, try and find another one, or try something else, or try something alongside it. And it's hard work.
But the main thing is like, you got to identify it, and you have to take responsibility and do something about it, right? It's about chiseling away, like we were saying. We have to chisel away at these big things that have been blocking us, right? Sometimes it's a boulder I have to move out of my backpack, right? It's a big ass rock, right? I got to break that into smaller pieces and then start getting rid of it, right? Like if the analogy was to apply to that, get that backpack off your back, take a look at it, and start throwing out some rocks. Well, my spiritual journey, I had a huge backpack on. I was probably carrying some other people's backpacks too.
You had a big hiking backpack on.
Yeah, I had the full Monty. But I knew that I had to change, and I had to get rid of these things to become my true self. If you look at a business, right? And a business has stuff for sale, right? An inventory, right? If you have an inventory of all this stuff, and I'm a vacuum place, and I'm selling a Hoover from 1980, that Hoover is not going to sell. It's not working for me in my life, right? So I take that Hoover off the shelf, and I chuck it, right?
And replace
it with
new...
a 2021 Hoover. Right?
Another analogy, everybody.
But if a business doesn't take inventory, it goes broke, right?
Yeah.
Same as for me. If I don't take inventory, and if I don't look at myself and be like, okay, what is worth selling here? What should I get rid of? What should I keep? What is going to make profit? What is going to do well for me, right? So I've had to go through myself and see what is serving me and what can do better for me, and how can I unblock myself. Enema all the time, unflow, right? I have to get free and allow that channel for me to connect to the universe or whatever it is. I have to have that channel, right? And if there's things in the way, I got to get rid of them.
Yeah, and with the whole inventory, however you say it, that thing.
Yeah.
We both actually do an inventory every single night.
Yep.
And we have done that for over a year now.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, well over a year. Every single night. And it's just a mini reflection on the day, right? How we behaved, how we felt, how we treated others, what we could have done better, and then
some gratitude,
yeah.
And then hopes for the next day and what to improve on, right?
Exactly. spiritual constipation, spiritual enema analogy thing. Thanks to the lady that we got this from.
Thank you very much. We really enjoyed it. We'd like to share this with you, and hopefully you got something out of this.
Leave us a comment with what spiritual things that you're trying or maybe curious about and haven't tried yet.
Yeah, and are you spiritually constipated? Are you looking to get that enema going, right? Like,
yeah.
Give us some feedback. Let us know if there's anything you'd like us to make or create on spirituality or anything like that. We'd love to share it with you guys. So let us know.
We love this topic, and we're always exploring new things. So if there's anything that you want us to try or talk about, let us know in the comments as well.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye. Look constipated, like you're pushing it out.
Really? Okay.
Okay. That was our thumbnail.